Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 2, Session 2. We'll present on limitation of GDP and alternative of well-being. My name is Haifa binti Ramli. My metric number is 2013204. In this video, I will present on introduction and conclusion. First of all, what is GDP? GDP is a short term for gross domestic product. It defines as aggregate output as the dollar value of all final goods and services produced within the borders of a country. GDP is widely used by all countries to measure their economy's performance. GDP is a monetary measure. It means that GDP measures the total value of output in monetary terms. To calculate GDP, we have to avoid multiple counting. It means that all goods and services produced in a particular year must be counted once and only once. Thus, GDP only includes the market value of final goods and ignores the intermediate goods. In computing GDP, you have to exclude the financial transaction and the second-hand sales. The example for financial transaction are the public transfer payment, private transfer payment, and stock market transaction. Meanwhile, the example for the second-hand sales is when a guy wants to sell his car to his friend. There are two approaches to calculate GDP, which are expenditure approach and income approach. First, we will look into the expenditure approach. To calculate GDP from this approach, we have to sum up all these four components, which are C, IG, G, and SN. C stands for personal consumption expenditure. It includes all durable goods, non-durable goods, and services purchased by the households. Meanwhile, IG stands for gross private domestic investment. It includes all final purchases of machinery, equipment, and tools by business, all construction, money spent on research and development, and changes in inventories. In contrast, G stands for government purchases. It includes all expenditure for goods and services in providing public services such as schools and highways. Last but not least, SN stands for net export. To compute it, we have to minus the export with the imports. The second approach is income approach. To compute GDP from this approach, first we have to find the national income. In finding it, we have to add the compensation of employees with the rents, interest, proprietors' income, corporate profits, and taxes on production and imports. After that, to get the GDP, we have to minus the national income with the net foreign factor income and add with the consumption of fixed capital and statistical discrepancy. From the figure of GDP, we can also determine the other four national accounts, which are net domestic product, NDP, national income, personal income, and disposable income. To compute NDP, we have to minus the GDP with the consumption of fixed capital. Meanwhile, to compute national income, we have to minus the NDP with the statistical discrepancy and add with the net foreign factor income. In contrast, to compute the personal income, we have to minus the national income with the taxes on production and imports, social security contribution, corporate income taxes, and undistributed corporate profits. And then we have to add it with the transfer payments. Last but not least, to compute the disposable income, we have to minus the personal income with the personal taxes. As we already learned the basic of GDP, we can continue with our presentation on limitation of GDP and alternative for well-being.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Ayuni Batrisya binti Anwar with metric numbers 2018544. Now, I will continue the presentation on the limitations of GDP, or in other words, we call shortcomings of GDP. As we know, GDP stands for market values for all finance goods and services in the economy for a given period of time. So, let we start the discussion with one scenario. If the family A have more numbers of pi than family B, does it determine that the family A is doing better than family B? Of course not, because we also need to consider some other factor like the taste of the pie. Is it the taste of the pie in the family A is better than the taste of the pie in family B? And other factors like size of the pie, the amount of the family members that need to be shared. Therefore, this gives an idea on how quantitative values doesn't measure or determine the country's conditions as a whole. So, GDP also have some limitations. The first limitations of GDP is under non-market activities. What is non-market activities? Non-market activities is basically activities that occur outside the market, or in other words, the productions of goods and services that doesn't go through any market transaction and of course will have no market values. Recap back to the definitions of GDP itself. GDP stands for Final Market Values of Goods and Services. So, when the product or services want to be included in the calculation of GDP, it needs to have the market value and go through the market transactions. Let me give you one example. If you buy a pie at the bakery, it will be included in the calculation of GDP. But if you buy the pie from your friends who grows the apples itself and bake the pie himself, and you buy from him, it will not be included in the calculation of GDP since it doesn't go through any market transactions. Therefore, this is one of the limitations of GDP, that non-market values or non-market activities will not be included in the calculations of GDP. Move on to the next limitations of GDP, which is leisure. What is leisure? Leisure is the free time that we have to spend with our family, with our friends, instead of doing our works. The scenario is GDP increase when the production increase, and obviously people need to work more or in a longer time. Maybe people need to work 10 hours per day or even 12 hours per day. This working overtime will increase the GDP. But the issue is, yes, production will increase, but the quality of life for those people who need to sacrifice their leisure time will be worse off. For example, those people that need to work more will not enjoy their leisure time, their weekend, their holiday anymore. But this desirable leisure value will not be computed in the GDP figures. This means GDP increase in the reducing of the quality time or the leisure time of people. Therefore, GDP reported is said to overstate the human well-being by ignoring the leisure value. The next limitations of GDP is under improved quality of goods. The basic idea is GDP calculate the final market value of goods and services. So, GDP is basically quantitative measure rather than qualitative measure, so that it fails to capture the improvement in the quality of goods. So, GDP figures does not reflect the quality of good produced. These one questions may helpful in this situation. Whether the current GDP higher than 10 years ago GDP determine that good produced now is better quality than good produced 10 years ago? Of course not. It cannot be determined that way because GDP does not calculate the improvement in quality of good produced. Therefore, GDP figures cannot be used to measure the improvements of good produced over time. This is also one of the limitations of GDP. I think that's all from me. I'll pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurma Afifah binti Ma'isuf. My metric number is 2017926.
The next limitation of GDP is underground economy. So what is underground economy? Underground economy, or also sometimes we call it as black market, referring to money that are earned from illegal activities like prostitution or selling illegal drugs. Not only that, underground economy also referring to those who engage in legal activities but they choose to not report their full income, such as undeclared tips or gambling winnings. They are hidden from the view of government either because they want to avoid taxes or regulations or because it is produced illegally. Thus, this type of economy will not be reflected in GDP of a country. The value of underground transaction is estimated to be around 8% in the US, which means GDP of that country was understated. GDP and environment. A lot of developing countries support growth of economies, but they less concerned regarding environmental issue. Most of the time, Producers increase their output by polluting the environment. The harmful effects of pollution, such as oil spills, destruction of habitats for wildlife, or even toxic waste, are not deducted from GDP. The environment costs usually cannot be valued in the market and are not included in GDP. But ironically, it does include payment made for cleaning up oil spills and costs of healthcare for cancer treatment. Next, GDP makes no value adjustment for changes in the composition of output. It doesn't tell us whether the current goods and services that are produced in the market is beneficial or potentially harmful to the society. Not only that, GDP does not provide information on how the output in the economy is distributed. It doesn't answer whether the output in the economy is evenly distributed to the household or not. The distribution of output may make a big difference for society's well-being. The last shortcoming of GDP is GDP does not measure its total well-being. There are many ways that actually could make a society better off without even raising the GDP. For example, reduction of crime or peaceful relation with other countries. But these non-economic sources of well-being, they are not covered in GDP. In conclusion, GDP is a very useful indicator of a nation's economic performance, but it should not be interpreted as a comprehensive measure of well-being.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ashraf Daniel bin Muhammad Zain and my metric number is 2016943. I will be talking about the first and second points of GDP's alternative. So the first GDP's alternative is Human Development Index, or also known as HDI under United Nations Development Programme. HDI was invented back in 2010 by United Nations and from a Pakistani economist named Mahbub ul Haq. The main purpose of HDI being invented is to include people's, or in other words, individual capabilities and potential development into countries' enhancement or development. HDI have a firm belief that economic growth alone are not enough to determine the country's development. HDI is made to evaluate three main dimensions in the community, which are long and healthy life, knowledge and education, and standard of living. From these three dimensions, there are four indicators that indicate the successfulness of HDI in the country. The four indicators are life expectancy at birth until death, with a minimum of 20 years old and maximum of 85 years old from long and healthy life dimension. Second, mean years and expected years of schooling from knowledge and education dimension. And last but not least, from standard of living dimension, the GNI will be the indicator. Combined, all of these four indicators from the three dimensions that has been assessed, the HDI will be determined. Although HDI took into account individual aspects, but HDI are still having some debatable weak and missing key elements. The first disadvantages of HDI is HDI ignore technological advance. In other words, no matter how advanced that country is or how deteriorate and bad the technological advancement in the country, if the relevant dimension are showing good indicators, then it will be a good HDI and vice versa. Other than that, HDI can safely be said only focuses on long-term changes and cannot be applied to a short-term decision making. And lastly, HDI are hard to be applied to a country with a wide economic gap. There are several countries that have uneven wealth distribution as mentioned in the GDP's weaknesses before this. Hence, HDI didn't take credit to overcome uneven wealth distribution just like in GDP. HDI final calculation will be generalized to a country, and for the country that are facing this uneven wealth distribution problem, HDI will not be the best answer for them. Second GDP alternative, Better Life Index from Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Better Life Index was introduced in 2011 with a clear vision to create a country that can determine their own ideology or idea of how to make a better life according to their own interpretation, or in a shorter and easy word, Custom Better Life Index. OECD mentioned that the goal of Better Life Index is to involve citizens in this debate and to empower them to become more informed and engaged in the policy-making process that shapes all of our lives. Which means citizens have power to choose and help what can the policymakers do in order to make their life better. Better Life Index took 11 topics of well-being into the calculation to aid on how the policymakers can decide. The data came from official sources such as OECD itself, United Nations Statistics and National Statistics Offices. Apart from that, there are also resources that is unofficial came from Gallup organization as mentioned by the OECD itself. Gallup organization is an organization that conducts public opinion polls for more than 140 countries, making the sound of citizens to be heard by the policymakers. On the other hand, there are still weaknesses and absences of critical point, and the first one is Better Life Index are missing the key elements to be happy from spiritually perspective, which are religion, family life, and moral values. None of these 11 topics of well-being touch or talk about these elements, yet it is called Better Life Index. Next, the data from the unofficial sources may contain irrelevant data, lack in terms of sample size, and also inaccurate findings. This will result in inefficient decision making, as the data required are not first-hand and may contain the stated problems.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Safia binti Mahathir Fahmi, and I will be explaining another two alternatives to GDP, which are the Gross National Happiness Index and also the Thriving Places Index. Before we start, it's important to note that these two alternatives are different from GDP in terms of how and what is measured. These two alternatives focus more on the people's well-being rather than how much a country makes. The first alternative I'll be explaining about is the Gross National Happiness, or GNH for short. The GNH was introduced in 1972 by the King of Bhutan with the objective to have a just, equal, and harmonious society. The reason behind this being that the country wanted to prioritize their nation's happiness rather than their monetary means. Besides that, the concept of GNH is a sustainable development should take a more holistic approach towards notion of progress. Thus, non-economic aspects of well-being should also be taken into consideration rather than just monetary value. Different from GDP, GNH does not measure any monetary value to determine the country's position or economic health. Instead, it focuses on 9 other non-economic aspects to evaluate the people's health or happiness. The 9 things measured by GNH are health, living standards, good governance, psychological well-being, time use, education, cultural diversity and resilience, ecological diversity and resilience, and also community vitality. Today, we are going to explain only 5 aspects. Firstly is regarding health. The GNH takes into account both physical and mental health of their people. Next, it also measures how the people perceive government functions, whether they are doing their job or fulfilling the people's needs. If they aren't, then the GNH survey is there to help the government fulfill the people's needs. Besides that, the living standards also depict one's happiness, whether they have enough income or not, or they have financial security or they don't. And time use is also taken into consideration. That is how much time do they spend on both work or non-work. As we know, GDP overstates the people's leisure time and also that which depicts the people's well-being, but not for GNH, because GNH does take into consideration regarding how much time people spend on their work or their non-work activities. Moving on to the pros and cons of GNH. The advantages of GNH is that it takes into account various aspects besides production of goods. It also ensures citizens are well taken care of as the government takes action based on the results that they obtain from the survey. Lastly, any country using GNH as an indicator of growth prioritizes the citizens' happiness and satisfaction towards the country rather than merely just trying to optimize output of the country. But however, on the other hand, the downside of GNH is that it is a rather lengthy survey that took up both the government and citizens' resources such as time and money. It's also too focused on spirituality, as that is what Bhutan's main belief is about. And lastly, there is no curated system for other countries to follow to measure GNH, just as they would GDP. The second alternative is the Thriving Places Index, or also known as TPI, which is an indicator developed by the UK charity Happy City. The purpose behind this initiative is to give the politicians an idea of the welfare of the people. As for the TPI, its main focus is on three aspects, that is sustainability, equality, and also local conditions. These main focuses are then broken down into 60 more specific indicators that we will take a look at after this. However, TPI is not a widely used or universal indicator as the GDP is. So far, the TPI is only used in certain European countries and states. Happy City also has a second project called the Happiness Pulse, which is essentially another form of TPI but used towards a smaller scale, such as workplaces and also in little communities. Here is the TPI framework mentioned earlier, where the three main focuses are further broken down into 60 more indicators. As for equality, TPI measures one's health, income, gender, social, and also ethnicity. Under local conditions, it measures things like place and environment and also education, and for sustainability, TPI investigates regarding energy use, waste, and also green infrastructure. So why was the Thriving Places Index created? Firstly, the Happy City charity team created this because they wanted to give a new perspective, especially to the politicians. Since GDP only measures progress through a monetary lens, TPI can give a more realistic view of what the nation actually needs. Secondly, it is to ensure a fair distribution in society. Although the change in GDP might show the amount of money generated in a country or region to be increasing, it does not necessarily mean that the money is distributed fairly among the people. Lastly, TPI can be used as a new way forward to measure progress on the well-being of both current and future citizens.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Dini Najmi bin Muhammad Zaman and my metric number is 2018257. I'm going to continue our topic on the alternatives of GDP. So my first point is by using the green GDP. The Green Gross Domestic Product, or Green GDP, is an index of economic growth with the environmental consequences of that growth factored into a country's conventional GDP. Green GDP monetizes the loss of biodiversity and accounts for costs caused by climate change. Some environmental experts prefer physical indicators such as waste per capita or carbon dioxide emissions per year, which may be aggregated to indices such as the Sustainable Development Index. Calculating green GDP requires net domestic product, which deducts the depreciation of produced capital from GDP minus with imputed environmental cost, where imputed environmental cost is equal to the environmental degradation and depletion of natural resource assets. Up next, the main purpose of green GDP is to combine the market and nature, or to relate the market and nature. This is because natural resources fuel market growth, and excessive market growth has the potential to destroy natural resources. For example, a country like China has high GDP, but in terms of environment, they are very awful. Environmental issues in China are plentiful, severely affecting the country's biophysical environment and human health. Rapid industrialization as well as lax environmental oversight are main contributors to these problems. China was ranked 120th out of the 180 countries on the 2020 Environmental Performance Index. Thus, green GDP is here to help the country to balance their production and their environmental health. Second purpose is to make comparisons across peers and periods. For instance, to make comparisons for the same country across various years, or it could be used to compare a country's environmental status with that of another country. This is to include reports like depletion analysis in the GDP reports. This will enable analysts to predict even more accurately how the growth of those economies will be affected in the future. Last but not least, it will bring some accountability to governments worldwide. It has become a common practice to ensure that the market system grows while the natural system perishes. Since green GDP accounting needs wide data collection and has the problem in collecting and analyzing data, it will be very difficult to promote. In addition, the cost of data collection in terms of time and financial resources could also be another problem. Sometimes the cost of data collection are greater than the benefits. Because of that, some studies may not consider all environmental adjustment for green GDP accounting. This causes the oversimplification of the problem and underestimation of the correct cost of natural resource depletion and environmental damages. Following, another alternative is by using Genuine Progress Indicator. The Genuine Progress Indicator, or GPI, is a national level measure of economic growth and prosperity, and then it is an alternative metric to GDP but which accounts for externalities such as pollution. The GPI consists of 26 indicators grouped into 3 categories: social, economic, and environmental. Each measures a different condition of the economy. Within the social category, you will find crime, family structure, academics, and more. On the other hand, in the environmental category, you will find pollution, climate change, and other factors that positively or negatively affect the environment. Lastly, the economics has income inequality, underemployment, and personal expenditure.
We have learned that GDP is used to measure the economy's performance of a country. Despite that, there are some limitations of GDP that we already discussed in this video. There are non-market activities, leisure, improved product quality, the underground economy, the GDP and the environment, the composition and distribution of output, and the non-economic sources of well-being. However, there are alternatives to measure the well-being of a country despite those limitations. There are Human Development Index (HDI), Better Life Index, Gross National Happiness, Thriving Places Index, Green GDP, and Genuine Progress Indicator (GPI). As we already know, our global is currently facing with COVID-19. Thus, the current economy is facing a recession. It is not suitable to compare the well-being of the countries using GDP, as most countries are affected by this pandemic. In our opinion, the best alternative that corresponds to the current pandemic is gross national happiness. This is because this alternative ensures citizens are well taken care of by prioritizing their happiness and satisfaction towards the country. That is all from us. Thank you.